you have like a personal dispute with him, but I like Big John, and
Well, you might like him, but he leveraged his made-up persona, Big John, to get me kicked out of the show. Him and his wife, they got me literally kicked out of the show.
you kicked out of the UFC?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What year was this?
Very early.
Why would they want to get you kicked out of the UFC?
Because he does not like me. He's a cop, and he doesn't like the fact that I'm probably in his eyes a thug. But the point is, he has a bee in his mind. He's never liked me. He was a jiu-jitsu student before he started in the thing. They for the Gracies, they didn't have a ref. So Art Davie goes, "Hey, what about that big guy, Big John?" And then Big John was a cop and everything. And he did background checks on me before I got into the UFC. Like, oh yeah, no, this guy he's got a record. I've been arraigned at least 7 times for beating people up. And shit was hitting the fan. It was getting bigger and more. You're gonna get in trouble pretty soon. Thank God I had a great attorney, and he was a guy that could point out the truth, and people would see that, and the DA would go, "Okay, community service." I'd go do that at the boxing gym. So anyway, so John checked into it, and he goes, "No, this guy really is a street fighting legend like Tank Murdoch." And obviously, the guy's dad was a cop, and that underlying it doesn't matter. But he did not like the fact that I came along after the Gracies, because he was like a stooge for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and the whole 9 yards. And when I came along, I kind of said, no. Fighting is emotional, and it's not a skill. It's not a skills match. It's what you have in your head. And he obviously doesn't have anything in his. But so at Puerto Rico, I used to go around to dojos and go in there after I'd cruise around drinking a 12-pack in my van. And we'd pull up to dojos and walk in there and go, "Does anybody want to fight?" And nobody did. And so I lost my train of thought on that. But, this is it. Okay, so when I was working out with weights, and I wasn't a strong day for me. So you have to know when to say, "No, I'm not lifting today." So I felt compunction, and I needed to go do something. I said, "Let's go check this jiu-jitsu place out." They had flyers at the Westminster boxing gym where I was boxing after I left that Bakersfield thing. So we go in there, and all the other kung fu and Wing Chun's and all that stuff, no one ever wanted to fight me. And I go, "Let's go check out this jiu-jitsu thing, see if it's real or not." And this guy's supposed to be a world champion and all this. And since it's out there, I'll say who it was, but it was Alain Goes. And so he's supposed to be some world champion, this and that. And at this time, we're totally green. Didn't have really respect for jiu-jitsu or anything like that. And I was with Paul Herrera and Eddie Reese, who are very accomplished wrestlers. And I go, "Let's go check it out. I'm not lifting. Let's go see if this stuff is for real." So we go into the jiu-jitsu thing, and it was a little bit of a drive. We get in there, and I say, "Hey, we want to roll around with you, check this stuff out." And they're Portuguese. "Oh, demonstration. And I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" Anyways, so one of the guys goes in the back. I guess they put cameras up in these little mirrored boxes, the one-way mirror things. And so Eddie gets up there, and he's a little guy, and so it didn't take him very long to tap him out with like an arm thing, and then Paul, who's is a All-American from Nebraska wrestler, bigger guy, like 190-ish. He gets in there, and I'm like going, what the hell's going on? Because they're lasting, and he's on his back. And at that time, I was like, what are you on your back for? It's stupid, you know?
Yeah.
You're totally ignorant of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy fuck. He ended up tapping him out. And I'm like going, wow, he made short work of Eddie, and he tapped out Paul, and I had respect for Paul for his wrestling abilities and where he'd gone and trained and wrestled for. And I was like, holy smokes. Well, I'm rather large and very powerful, and Alan Goes is not. And so I go, okay. Oh, and they were starting on their knees and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, whatever. So I get on him, and I had because the medical place, the cut and sew place, I had a scrub on. So I'm on top of him, and he grabs like a nurse's scrub because they don't rip or anything like that. And he does like an X on his thing, and he starts choking me. And I look at him, and I just kind of roll my eyes like, really? Like I went like that, like fists on both sides of his face, you know? And he's like, oh, okay. And so we rolled around. And then he finally got to an arm lock. And like I said, I was doing curls with like 120-pound dumbbells and stuff like that. And so I picked him up. Basically, he was like a foot off of the mat, and I raised my right hand up and made a fist like, you want me to fall down on it? His eyes got huge as the moon. No. And I'm like, okay. So I let him down and let it go. And he was like, like I've had enough of this big guy here.